Kevin, that's been a pretty chastening evening, I would imagine. A 5-1 home defeat by Stourbridge. I think probably the nature of that, and that is such a unusual result and performance from a Telford team in recent months, is probably the biggest shock of all there. You didn't see that coming.
No, you don't see a result like that coming, but certainly on the evidence of the first half, some awful decision making, some lack of concentration. Credit to Stourbridge, they've been on the front foot, but you cannot give sides that are going to be right at the top end of the league moments and situations like that. And our lack of concentration and desire to, like I say, the first goal, we give 2 cheap free kicks down that side. Of the second one, they load the ball in. It's headed back into the 6-yard box. You can't defend like that and expect to get anything out of games. And that's gifted them what I would deem as a soft start. The poor moment where we're Cruyffing in the area that we did when we did is it's a bad choice and a bad decision and a poor moment for us. That fair play that they stick away from distance, but players have got a better understanding than that in that moment and where they find themselves, and that hasn't been indicative of what we come to expect here. But I think the 1 or 2 players carrying a little bit of a hangover from last season, if I'm honest. Need to knuckle down and just do the basic things really well, which when we do, and show that little bit more effort and desire and aggression in our play, you have a more of a second period like we would like and we've become accustomed to. Remy does fantastic and gets us a goal soon after half time. Clearly I've let the lads know my feelings about half time, and there was a reaction there, and again, fair play to the crowd. They keep behind us and keep lifting the players, and they've certainly played their part tonight. And I think we've had a moment there where I think we spooned one over the bar, where if that ends up in the back of the net, you think the outcome could be so different. But the shambolic defending for the last 10 minutes or so, like I say, I can't defend that. I have to take responsibility for it because I'm the manager of this football club, but it's difficult, when players are capable, and just the decision making and how, like I say, players aren't able to deal with certain situations. It's disappointing. But look, credit to Stourbridge. They've kept forcing the issue. They've stayed strong when they needed to. And moved the game away from us. Like I say, the way in which they've done it, and the lack of ownership about our players. In that last 10 minutes is disappointing, and obviously, is a real downer for the evening. But it's up to me to address it and do something about it, and pick people up on Thursday to go again Saturday.
Sure. You and I have spoken many times about expectation and expectation levels at this football club perhaps being more raised because of Telford's history, a nice stadium, all those kind of things. Obviously, the performance last season and going so close but falling just short as I think perhaps had people casting Telford as looking like favourites for this season. I think that's certainly the way that I think people on the outside are looking. How easy is it, or how difficult is it to try and push that kind of stuff to one side and make sure people don't believe too much of that and keep up to their work?
I think it's important that players don't believe too much of that. You have to go and do it all again, and sides that are prepared that generally have been consistent season on season. And I've been fortunate enough to make playoffs on several back-to-back occasions, and realise how important it is to dust yourself down and have to pick it up and go again. I'm not externalising the blame here. It's my responsibility to make sure that players understand that as well. And I think 1 or 2 are still carrying a bit of a hangover from last season's performance. It's just almost that they believe that, that they just need to turn up and it'll happen. And unfortunately, it won't. And, you need to show the hunger that we showed for large parts of the second period there, and the aggression and the desire, and the ability to apply yourself in situation, make good decisions, and show that you are physically dominant over the opposition. And too many times there tonight we weren't. And like I say, you have to give Stourbridge credit. They're a big club that have got good players in the group, and it's not so easy that you can just rock up and it's all going to drop into place, whether at home or away from home. And like I say, there are areas that I need to address there, and just making sure that players are applying themselves in the right way and taking responsibility and doing the right things in the right moment. And clearly, too much evidence of the fact that they didn't tonight.
You want people to hurt after that performance, not necessarily the supporters, certainly not the supporters, but in terms of your own players, it would be potentially more damaging, I guess, if they went away from here and didn't care about that. If they're hurting, then hopefully the spur will be there to come back and do something about it. But I guess at the same time, second game in, you don't want to go in too hard on people either.
Look, I didn't pull any punches in there, and people need to hear it and understand it. If they're not happy with that, well, they need to tell me why they're not happy with it, because the level that we again expect at the club, and I expect at the club, wasn't reached tonight. And okay, there was a period in the second half where we were in the ascendancy, and we perhaps did have one or two moments and chances to get ourselves right back into the game. I think the 2-1, we kind of did give ourselves a lifeline, but you can't then switch off and concede the goals like we did in for the last 10 minutes, and that becomes difficult for anyone to swallow. And as I want supporters to be proud of the team that's out on that field, and they can't be tonight, and that hurts me. There's not many sides of my sides that I've had that happen to in recent times that I can recall. And yeah, it's disappointing. I have to apologise for that, but talk's cheap. It's for me to do something about it now and make people realise there are some talented players in the group, but they're only talented when they work hard. And then they need to understand that. I need to impose that on them and making sure that they're understanding that's my responsibility. And if we can learn from tonight and look in the mirror and make sure that we are understanding of what's gone on tonight and why it's gone on, then hopefully we can move forward. We proved last season that we're able to do that. And yeah, getting like I say, a couple of back from injury and suspension, and growing the squad a little bit will help the feeling around the group. But that's, again, I'm not using that as an excuse. You need your best players out there and playing, and players need to show a reaction on Saturday.
Sure. Hitchin Town arrive here on Saturday, so those opportunities to put things right do come around quite quickly. I mean, it is something of a freakish scoreline, as you say. Full credit to Stourbridge for what they did. Does it make it any easier to be able to sort of dismiss that for the fact that it was so unusual, or is it that you can see that there are some fun? It seems to me that you can see some fundamental things underneath there that I wouldn't say necessarily make you more concerned, but that you need to address them.
It only becomes freakish if we start winning games now, doesn't it? If we stay in the same vein and show the same lack of discipline, lack of effort, lack of concentration, then you're gonna get, I'd say, more results like that. But you're not going to be winning the games that you want to win. And we've got to have players that can recognise moments and recognise danger. And that was evident on Saturday that small moments that ended up costing us in the game that really shouldn't be appearing. And we need to knuckle down and stop conceding soft goals like we have. Just be brave in certain moments. Go and win the header at the far stick there, so it's not nodded back into your 6-yard box. That's happened twice now. Once against Tamworth and once here tonight. Very very similar goals. Or that's a meet and drink moment that really you've got to be brave enough to go and win that. And if you're heading that clear, that moment doesn't appear, and you haven't conceded a soft lead. That's not rocket science. That's not to do with the shape of the team or anything like that. It's just being brave and making the right decision. And being physically able to deal with that moment. I think, like I say, when we showed the bit of aggression and a bit more desire in the second period, we did give ourselves a chance. You know, we score a goal, and I think we put one over the bar from 6 or 8 yards out there, and if that ends up in the back of the net, but it's if, you know, and I don't want to be using the word if, that needs to be in the back of the net, and then at 2-2, the whole game changes in its complexion, doesn't it? But, you know, credit to Stourbridge, you know, they've got a better understanding there, and, you know, we're difficult to break down, but, you know, done the right things, you would say. But like I say, when I'm looking out there and wanting people to stay strong together, and I don't like getting beat, of course I don't, but the manner in which you get beat tonight would concern me more than it has done for a little while. Because, like I say, you know, there's a gentleman who pointed out in the forum the other day that we, you know, he quite rightly said, we look as though we lack leaders, and that was evident tonight. We did, and like I say, you know, we need to get people to step up to the plate and make sure they're taking responsibility for their role within the team, and you know, applying themselves, as I say, in a better way.
Kevin, I'm sure you'll go over the events of tonight in your own mind, even though you'd probably prefer not to at various points. I'm sure we've spoken about it enough. So thank you for your time, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Thank you.